breaking news from this morning on the NFL, where the Packers are releasing their former All-Pro cornerback, Jaire Alexander. That's been confirmed by our lead NFL insider, Jonathan Jones, this AM. He had 2 years remaining on his current deal and was exploring trade options with Green Bay before the release, but the move will save the Packers just over $17 million when it comes to that cap space. Alexander spent the first 7 years of his career in Green Bay with the Packers, but played in just 14 games the last 2 seasons due to a multitude of injuries. He'll now hit free agency for the first time in his career and find a new home for 2025. For more of this, I want to bring in my guy, Jonathan Jones. You see there with the AAV there outside of that top 5. Jaire, of course, checking in at $21 million. Top dog Derek Stingley, who signed not too long ago at $30 when it comes to those top shutdown corners. Now I'll get to Jonathan Jones, and of course this news coming out this morning. JJ, your reaction, because I feel like this is something we saw in the writing since last season.
Yeah, we did. We saw that Jaire Alexander was likely not to be with the Green Bay Packers that much longer. And then some things started to happen. Then it started to look like, okay, actually maybe he could stay because they're having trouble. The Packers are finding a trade partner. Maybe they ultimately work on this revised contract. And so that's the way that the tides were kind of moving maybe about a month ago. And then there was no agreement. And so right before the start of mandatory minicamp, where he's not going to show up and now you're going to have to fine him because that is what the CBA dictates, let's just go ahead and let him know that he is being granted his release. Now, this is not what the Green Bay Packers wanted. Remember, about 3 years ago, they made him, and we just had the graphic up, the highest paid cornerback in NFL history, averaging $21 million per year. And then he turned in a second-team All-Pro year in 2022, but only playing 7 games in 23, only playing 7 games in 24. A lot of injuries, and there was some question within the Green Bay organization about, are you hurt or are you injured? And there was always sort of trying to figure that out within the team, and if they were going to have him available for that upcoming Sunday or not. They kind of never really knew up until Friday or Saturday on a number of weeks. And so to have to cut bait with someone who was the highest paid cornerback in NFL history, to have to cut bait with someone who's a homegrown talent, and we know that Green Bay A, loves homegrown talent, B, doesn't just make someone the highest paid anything at their position, and then ultimately cut them without getting anything in return for him. But that is where the Packers found themselves, and now Jaire Alexander, for the first time in his career, being able to test out free agency.
JJ, real quick, because we know the talent is there. You just mentioned, of course, he's a former Pro Bowler, and when he's healthy, he's a shutdown guy on one side of the field. If you're a team looking for a corner like that, we know the antics, we've seen it, he loves the camera a lot. What type of DB will you be getting in a Jaire Alexander?
Well, it's just hard to say because of the injuries, and because he's had knee injuries and shoulder injuries. You're going to have to not only put him through a physical with your own team doctors, but you're going to have to get him in your building and spend some time with him, get to know him, the person, right? Because we know him as the player. You can cut on the tape and watch him, the player, in man or in zone. But this is why, you know, I think maybe to answer your question a little bit, someone is going to wonder, okay, he just got released by the Packers. Is he going to get picked up this upcoming day or two? I think this could actually take some time. Teams are now in their mandatory minicamps. If it's not this week, then it's next week. Teams are then going to break for vacation. GMs, assistant GMs, cap folks, they're going to be gone. And I'm not saying that no NFL business will take place into mid to late June, early July. But this is a player at 28 years old with the injuries he's had the last couple of years, with the sort of question marks and with the sort of money that you are going to have to pay him, either in base salary or signing bonus or incentives. You are going to want to spend some time with him, Jaire Alexander. And so because of that, I don't know that anything is going to happen anytime soon, along with the fact that he's probably going to have a decent market if things check out, all the things that we have just been talking about. So if I had to wager a bet on how quickly this happens, I would say that it's probably not going to happen that quickly, because Jaire Alexander will likely have a market if all of the boxes get checked when he visits with a team or multiple teams.
When you talk about that market, it may be jammed up because there's another corner that's looking to leave Miami, and Jalen Ramsey, of course. We've heard about this since the beginning of the draft. Nothing happened there. June 1st, possible cut, nothing there. He signed 3 years, $72 million, not too long ago. What are you hearing about the rumblings with Ramsey maybe finding a new home at some point?
Yeah, not too long ago, he became the highest paid cornerback in NFL history again. And a lot of folks wondered, why did the Miami Dolphins and GM Chris Greer do that when they didn't necessarily have to, right? Pat Surtain got his deal. Jalen Ramsey got $1 over it. Boom, there you go. And after 1 year, things have not turned out very well. We see since then, of course, J.C. Horn with the Panthers, and then Derek Stingley Jr. with the Texans going above and beyond with a uniquely structured contract. But when it comes to Jalen Ramsey, at his age, it's going to be difficult for him. He's not going to have as robust a market, I should say, as Jair Alexander. A, it is because of age, and B, it's because of maybe kind of where he wants to go, right? And so a lot of folks that I talk to very much believe that really the only team for him is his former team, the LA Rams. That there's so much familiarity there. There's so much comfort there for Jalen Ramsey and the Rams. I would include the Rams in a sort of potential interested suitors for a Jair Alexander. I would consider a number of teams in the market for a Jair Alexander. And you could start with the Rams, and you could continue on with any number of contenders or teams who are outside of that contending market. But when it comes to Jalen Ramsey, if the Falcons maybe had more money, if they had more cap space, if they had already dealt Kirk Cousins and had a little bit more cap space, I could see.
Chào mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay mình mời các bạn là bông hoa. Yêu ta còn nhiều hơn cả em. Ghé sau lưng anh thì sai đâu. Nói đi. Tại sao? Mua sao của tao cho Huyền mà không hỏi mà không.
Em đang mua cái gì đâu, em đi chỉ mua mạch để làm em đang tính là
mà không hỏi tao, mày còn để tao này gãy mồm mày mới mua cho.
cái gì mà này gãy mồm?
Cái sao buộc tóc hồng hồng của chị đứt rồi sao? Chị tìm mang qua, chị tìm của Long mà chị không thấy. Không biết là để đâu, đó là phí mới dùng được có mấy không?
Em mua trong nhiệt đâu?
Biết rồi. Tâm lý phết nhỉ. Chả nhẹ. Thế sao mày không trả nhen nốt chị Liên đi.
Nhen, vào đây thì hàng cấp đồ không chơi được.
Đặt Shopee, đặt chung với chị đây thôi. TikTok nó đắt.
Đắt em 140.000 cả full này.
Đợt đầu tiên thì nó chả rẻ.
Em còn nhiều.
Mày dùng xong